A 40-acre untapped pine wood I found lying along the lake to my left. I immediately bought it and I'm dividing it into homesteads with convenient cottages. We call it Ozone Park and have named our first homestead Rest Cottage and the second one Peace Cottage. This gave me something like 50 acres of beautiful pine, to which I was able to add lake frontage of 20 acres more. Word came that the tappers are about to buy the pine bluffs across the lake. This would ruin the whole landscape, be not only a financial damage, but rob us of our glorious sunsets. Bidding quickly, we got it ourselves, and little by little we have been able to get possession of nearly the whole lake and its surrounding acres. Still, the range cattle are everywhere, and 40 cows would be at our garden fence every day. There was nothing to do but to fence in our property, clean it up, and put out notices that forbade shooting inside our lines. The quail soon found it out and came to us, calling out Bob White, which does not happen to be our name, although we respond by feeding them at our doors. The range cattle trailed up and down the road for a while, but now we barely hear a cowbell or see a pair of horns. The cattle ticks in the grass are disappearing with the cattle. But the pig is another question. The razorback is most irrepressible and irresponsible inhabitant of Florida. He has the law, even if you've recorded deed. He has the law, even if you have the recorded deed. You must not shoot him or maim him if you find him in the middle of your potato patch. If you do, it will cost you probably $50. If not a lawsuit and a deal of trouble. He can run like a hound and he can get back in 5 minutes. It needs two pickaninnies to each hog, which, remember, this book was written a long time ago, so some of this wording is a little antiquated or maybe downright rude. Hog-tight fence costs heavily and they can root under it. To put such a fence around 200 acres would cost more wire than you have paid for the land. So it was nip and tuck for 2 years, and we used up those 2 years in fencing and consideration. Never were we more tempted by Providence. We were glad to hear guns, which might mean that somebody had shot a hog. The owner of 25 groaned over the fact that he got only one of them home in the fall. What became of the rest, nobody knows. We are promised a stock law before long that would give ordinary human rights to hogs and hog rights to human beings. Legislators are afraid to tackle this question for fear of losing votes. Yet 9 out of 10 people hereabouts know of nothing more diabolical than to call you a razorback. We shall get by the plague within the next 2 or 3 years. It is slow work changing old customs. Half the people in Florida still believe that burning of the state is a good economy. Just at this moment, with a stiff breeze, a huge fire has started to the southwest, a mile away, and the farmers are off on horseback and on foot to help those who are in danger with backfires. An easy answer and a soft one. One simple-hearted neighbour tells me that it's nature's way, for if the grass is not burned away annually, lightning may strike somewhere, and the accumulated vegetation will make a furious blaze. I tell him that lightning sometimes strikes a northern church or a schoolhouse, a thing which could not occur if we had not the forethought to burn them ourselves annually. But it is really wonderful how nature provides soil-making material all about us. The lakes are low at present, and the vegetable deposit which has been made under the water is many feet deep in the form of black muck. While the lakes are low, we can haul this into our fields and gardens. Treated with lime or aerated for a year, it makes superb plant food. The whole of Florida should today be covered with vegetable deposit, and it would be but for the annual burning. We make great use of beggarweed, which we call the alfalfa of the South, a plant that can grow 5 or 6 feet high and can be mowed repeatedly for hay and then ploughed under. The leaves are very sweet to the taste, and the horses prefer it to any other hay that we can secure. There are a dozen wild grasses, nearly all of which can be utilised by cutting early, but they are badly neglected by the farmers. When fully grown, they are dry and woody. The velvet bean, which has been an importation for ornament, it grows from 50 to 70 feet in a season and was used to cover the cottages. The bean is eatable, but it is coarse, and the vine is so rank a grower that it is unsuitable for orchards. The cowpea, of course, thrives here, and it makes an very excellent summer cover crop. In the north, you need a winter cover crop against the cold. Here we need something of the kind against the heat. Nature undertakes this business of covering the ground well against the scalding noondays, but man persistently antagonises her beneficent work. The larger part of our wildflowers are also legumes, and as useful as they are beautiful. Our 10 acres with which we started, we found to be an ideal homestead. Starting at Lake Lucy in the front, the land sloped upward to the east and then rolled on down to Lake Emerson. The beauty of Lake Lucy was startling from the first. An almond-shaped sheet of water about half a mile across. The banks, after a rim of flat, rich garden muck, splendid for celery and lettuce, rise to a bluffy height which makes superb building sites, all of them holding on to the lakefront. It was curious and complete retreat, 2 miles from the village. A few select neighbours within reach, and lofty pines crowning the whole lake rim, occasionally running down to the shore. Those that stand near the lake look at their own beauty in the still water, where they are more conspicuous than on the land. It was not greed, but sympathy with nature that led me to buy and all that I could secure. Lakefronts and knolls soon become inseparable. These small lakes are scattered everywhere about the section of Florida. They vary from a few rods in diameter to half a dozen miles. Some of them are mere ponds, but most of them will someday be utilized by those who desire winter homes out of the reach of frost. Of course, the orange is our typical crop, and an orange grove or orchard is a thing of beauty and a joy forever. Either in fruit or in blossom, the tree is a model for lawn or grove. After the freeze of 1895, which killed the trees to the ground, suckers came up and were grafted or budded. 5 or 6 of these started at the ground made round-headed bush-like trees, about 12 to 15 feet in diameter. These are covered with golden balls that ripen from November 1st to June. Blossoming takes place in March, and then the whole orchard will be an orchestra of bees. The waves of perfume roll off for half a mile. The grapefruit tree is very similar, but more inclined to droop. Peaches do quite as well as oranges, and with half the care would give better financial returns. The orchards, however, are neglected so badly that they do not give perfect crops for more than 2 or 3 years. I have 50 fig trees or bushes, and the magnolia fig is pretty sure to be very profitable. The Japanese plum and the native plums thrive very well indeed, but the European varieties not so well. I have an excellent condition the Bing and Lambert and a few other cherries, as well as the sour sorts like Morello and Suda Hardy. With pears, experiments have been confined to Kiefer and the other sand pears. They grow well but are irregular bearers. The loquat is a semi-tropical evergreen tree, and the fruit shaped like a pear but flavoured like a cherry. It is delicious, one of the best of the semi-tropical fruits, but slightly in danger of frost, which we get to a mild degree once or twice a year.